and welcome to this review of Cinderella, the fairy godmother of all pantomimes, which ran from the 7th of December 2018 to the 6th of January 2019 at the New Victoria Theatre, Woking. Staged by Kudos Pantomimes, this production was simply magical, providing a festive-filled evening of countless comedic routines, mesmerising effects and a star-studded cast consisting of pure talent, making for my personal favourite pantomime production of all time. Headlining the show was Strictly Judge Craig Revel Horwood, who from the get-go effortlessly treated with a saucy dance number and an abundance of Strictly references. A true asset to the show, Craig didn't just look the part with such dazzling attire, but also had great stage presence, consistently wowing with strong vocals. Playing Baroness Hardup, the villain we love to hate, he clearly loves to perform, making the performance all the more enjoyable. Second to Craig was Paul Chuckle playing Baron Hardup. A complete natural in show business, the man oozed warmth, instantly lovable as soon as he stepped out onto stage. His endearing antics, such as his trademark "hello," rung in everybody's heads well after the show. There was great chemistry between him and Phil, as well as a moving tribute to Barry, who'd sadly passed away earlier that year. A highlight scene was his shopping trolley song, which whilst I'm sure has been performed a million times before, still felt fresh and fun in Woking. Next was the hilarious Phil Butler as comedic lead Buttons. A lesser known performer, Phil brought impressive juggling, awe-inducing magic and most importantly endless belly laughs to the production. A favourite scene of mine was when he's led to believe that he's receiving singing coaching from Baron Hardup, who is actually restyling a lady in her dress. He ends up in a rather embarrassing and somewhat revealing disrobed position, a genius comedic skit that truly brought the house down. Phil sadly passed away suddenly in October 2021. His skill and warmth were huge assets to Pantoland, with such fantastic talent getting harder to come by. I feel for those who never got to see him perform, as he truly was a natural entertainer who will sorely be missed. The title role Cinderella was played by Sophie Isaacs, who gave a royal performance both character-wise and vocally, which was clearly recognised by producers as she was in the London Palladium's pantomime the following year. Endearing and warm, there was convincing chemistry between her and Oliver Savile's Prince Charming. Savile uplifted the production with a collection of Greatest Showman songs. His performance made that bit more special as it was announced he had become a father one of the nights we attended. Untraditionally, the Ugly Sisters weren't played by men, but instead the brilliant Susie Chard and Wendy Somerville. Amusingly named Tess and Claude, these two were loud and gloriously brassy. Key scenes included a joyous rendition of I Will Survive whilst testing the glass slipper's fit. Chris Jenkins acted a believable high-energy Dandini, whilst Lila McConaughey portrayed a fine fairy godmother. They were clearly having a blast, with both characters pinnacle in moving the story forward. To support the production, included was an energetic ensemble made up of strong acrobatic performers. From villagers to dancing pumpkins, these eight unleashed such charisma. The child performers from Julie Cyan Theatre Arts were equally as energetic. The show was jam-packed with slapstick and side-splitting routines. Highlights included the sword and cucumber sketch, which was a classic Chuckle Brothers piece of shtick, and the log scene in which Phil's Buttons hilariously interrupts Cinderella and the Prince's I Do It For You number. The show swapped out the tired 12 Days of Christmas for the If I Were Not Upon the Stage routine, which I'd never seen before, making for an extremely refreshing change. It was excruciatingly funny, with Phil's brilliant Buttons shining yet again. Sophie Cinderella had a mesmerisingly seamless transformation from rags into her ball gown, whilst one of the ensemble appeared out of a crate on a table, which made for a clever piece of theatrical trickery. However, the show's main special effects was when Act 1 closed at Gary Hines' tremendous Follow That Dream number, with Cinderella's flying carriage courtesy of the twins FX. The carriage flying out over the audience paired with the blaring music and snow machine made for an unimaginably magical moment. I'd never seen anything quite like it and was literally left speechless as the show entered the interval. The production sported a standard Kudos Cinderella set, which was vibrant, colourful and practical with multiple props throughout. Michael Gingle's direction was pacey and effective, making for a well-balanced variety show. Writer Alan McHugh's script lacked much story, but kept to classic Cinderella roots to great comedic effect. Set with inevitable local references and additional material by Paul and Phil, the show felt fluid and, most importantly, rigorously entertaining. Cinderella really was the panto that kept on giving, with a hilarious Goldilocks skit hosted by Paul Chuckle that involved members of the audience wearing bin bags before the show's grand ending. As any pantomime should, Cinderella's cast came together singing and dancing in the finale wedding, wearing dazzling attire. In particular, Craig, who looked so flamboyant and absolutely fabulous. The show wrapped up with Cinderella and the Prince walking into the distance in front of a beautiful Catherine Wheel, which really felt like the bow on such a seamless production. If you couldn't tell already, I adored Cinderella. Not a second of this pantomime missed a beat, not a moment fell flat. Well, perhaps a couple of Buttons gags, but that only set up another even funnier joke. Perhaps I'm biased or looking at this through rose-tinted glasses, but for me, Cinderella was 2.5 hours of pure entertainment perfection. Every component felt fresh, at least for Woking, and you couldn't have asked for a more talented, well-rounded cast and crew, where you could feel such energy radiating off the stage. Woking's 2018 Cinderella remains the only pantomime I've seen twice, and I would happily see countless times more. I couldn't stop smiling as this production was pure joy. I give Woking's 2018 pantomime Cinderella a 5-star rating.